before at one time. And I'm going to read off these steps just in case you can't read them. And I'm going to make a quick note on one thing which is important that I actually changed. So the first step you got to do is, and these are after the intangibles. Once you acknowledge accountability and own your baggage, at that point, then you need to obtain the right map, which is your customized program. The second step, read your program, meditate on your program, absorb your program. The third step is have faith, trust, and confidence in your program. The fourth step is follow, obey, and execute your program to precision. Fifth step, sustain your program. And lastly, watch your program work. So these are steps that I did make one change to, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. The last two steps, the peak is watch your program work. Now in the slideshow, which I'm about to show you, and each step here has its own slide, which I go into detail and describe. I flip-flop these last two steps. Okay, so sustain your program is actually the last step in the slideshow, and watch your program work is actually the fifth step. All right, so, and I'm going to explain why when I get there. So let's keep rolling with this. So the first step is obtain the right map, your customized program. 99% of people will never do this step. They'll never do it. I remember when I posted that image of the pyramid on my Facebook page, I had like, I don't know, 30 or 40 people like it. And of those 40 people that liked it, only like 8 or 9 of them had signed up. Do you see? And that's proof. That's proof right there that a lot of people say they like it, but they don't ever do the first step. They don't ever take the first step. So that's a big thing. Nothing else matters if you skip this step. If you don't have the right map, it doesn't matter how much effort you give. It doesn't matter how good your genetics are. You'll never reach your destination. And if you do reach it by mistake, if you do reach it, it was just by mistake, and it'll never happen again. So, step number 2 is read your program, meditate on your program, absorb your program. And the reason I put a magnifying glass here is quite simple. A magnifying glass allows you to see the detail better with whatever's underneath it, whether it's words or a bug. The point is, a magnifying glass brings out the detail. You can see the detail better. And that's the same thing with this step number 2. When you read your program, don't just read it. Meditate on it. Absorb it. Print it out. Stick it on your refrigerator. Post it by your computer. You must know it in order to follow it. And if you don't know it, you can't follow what you don't know. And you're like, well, if you're just on board, you're going to need to have that program with you every step of the day. You should know it like the back of your hand. And if you don't study it, you won't know it. Okay? And like I said, print it out, post it on your fridge, carry it in your car, put it in your pocket, stick it on your desk at work, put it, on your nighttime table or your bedside table at night, whatever. Put it on your bathroom mirror. It should be everywhere. Okay? Number 3, have faith, trust, and confidence in your program. Guys, thoughts become things. I can't tell you how many people out there do not believe in themselves. Okay? And they'll do the first step. They'll do the second step. But then they get to step 3, and they failed on eating their whole life. They failed with following a program their whole life. They failed with diet programs. And so they've had so many negative experiences and self-defeating attitude from all their negative experiences that even when they finally have the right map, deep in the back of their mind, they still lack faith in themselves. And they look for reasons. It's called self-sabotage. They look for reasons to sabotage themselves. I've had folks that would literally, I'm not sure it'll work. I just didn't know if I should eat meal 3 or not. I wasn't sure. You weren't sure about what? Follow the program. But I've had folks that would wake up in the morning, I feel bloated. They tell their husband they feel fat, their dog they feel fat, their goldfish they feel fat. Their sorority sister, they feel fat. Their husband, they feel fat. Their kid, they feel fat. Their mother-in-law, they feel fat. Their mom, their dad, their cousin, their aunt, their uncle, they'll write in their journal. They'll tell their coworker. They'll tell themselves. They'll say it. They'll embody it. They'll embrace it. They'll say it before they go to bed, and sooner or later, they'll get fat. Guys, thoughts become things. We've all heard about people that, oh, I feel bad. Oh, I feel sick. And there's people that just repeat how bad they feel and how sick they feel, and sooner or later they get sick. They get cancer. They get a disease, and it's a crying shame. Okay? You know what? Two of the most powerful words in the English language, I am. Okay? I am. I am going to have faith in my program. I am full of trust and confidence in my program. I am going to burn faith. I am full of faith and trust and confidence. Say that 3 times a day. Say it when you wake up. Say it before bed. Say it before each meal. Oh, that's cheesy. That's corny. No, you can laugh all you want. But for some of you folks out there, your back is against the wall. You need every tool you can get your little paws on. You need every drop and bullet of ammo you can get. You need everything you can get to help you and to leverage you for success. Okay? Use that. Where we at? Step 4. Follow, execute, and obey your program to precision. It's always best to obey your program, even if it's a tiny step. Some folks will get their program and they're scared to get started. Other folks, they're indecisive. Well, I don't know if I should really have 5 almonds or a quarter cup macadamia nuts or 3 ounces chicken. I don't know if I should have it. If your program says that you should have it, execute it. Follow it. And if you mess up, get back on the next meal. Always coming back. Always eat the next meal. No matter what happened the last meal, always eat the next meal like it has a history and life of its own. Always eat the next meal as if that meal will determine the outcome of your fat loss. Obey today. Just obey today. If it's too hard for you to, if today is too big of a task, obey this meal. Obey the meal you're on. Then obey today. And tomorrow's already laid out. It's already there for you. Okay? Step number 5. Now this is the one remember the ones I flip-flopped? I flip-flopped step 5 and 6. 6 was in the original, what's your program work? And step 5 in the original was sustain. Well, I flipped them, okay? And I'll tell you why. All right, the reason I put watch your program work instead of being last, I put it the second last. Here's why. So many people get fast success on their program. I mean, I have women come out and lose an inch in their first week, an inch and a half off their waist in the first 2 weeks, 2 inches in the first month, 4 pounds in the first month, first 10 days. I mean, in less than 3 weeks, usually in 10 weeks to 14, 10 days, not 10 weeks, 10 to 14 days, you're going to notice noticeable results. Your pants, your shorts are going to be falling off usually after the first month. So success will come fast on your program. Now, how will you respond to those results? Okay? Complacency is your worst enemy, and here's why. If you want to continue to change on your program must continue to change. What that means is that a lot of times people will get really good results on their first program, and I've seen this happen so many times, and it's so dangerous. What will happen is they'll come out, and in the first month they'll lose like 6 pounds of fat, their waist will drop 2 inches, or down the 2 sizes of clothes, and what do they do? They get complacent. They made fast success, and they don't sustain. Okay? They start going to happy hour. They start having appetizers at happy hour with their friends and alcohol. They start going to having pieces of cheesecake. They start going out to eat more. They get complacent. They let go of the wheel. And let me tell you something right now. The people, and that breaks my heart, it's the people that have the fast success on my program, and then they get cocky and they think, oh well, I can revert back to eating bad. For some reason, they think that. They think that results are permanent. No, and it's the most ridiculous thing, and it breaks my heart. What happens is they come out on fire, and they slip off the program. They don't sustain, And they'll buy a new program, they'll renew, but they don't follow it. Well, why don't they follow it? Now, I'll tell you why it's so hard for people that have made awesome progress, that revert back to, alcohol and going out to eat, and, get back into their, in the party atmosphere, in the social atmosphere, and they can never get back on track, and I'll tell you why. Once you've had success, don't ever let go of the wheel, because when you do, it is so hard to regain control. It is so hard to regain control, and that's proof of it. I see it so often. And here's a great example of how fast the results can come. And this is Laura. She had 3 kids, and at the time, this is years ago, at the time she was 32 and lost 16 pounds of fat in 7 weeks. I mean, this isn't 9 weeks, this is 7 weeks from this photo to these two. She went from 23% body fat down to like 12.7, I think. So the fat loss will come very fast. And step 6 is sustained. You must demonstrate resiliency. When you get great progress, you got to stay on the ball. Okay? Now follow me right here. It's easy to stay on track when you get minimal results. Well, why? I'll tell you why. But it's difficult to stay on track when you get awesome results. Well, why is that? I'm going to tell you why. I can't tell you, like I said before, how many folks I've had sign up, and if you get minimal results, a little bit, what happens is you still stay hungry for more. It makes you want more results. But when you get awesome results very fast, what happens is you tend to get complacent. And you think, oh, I'll keep getting results even if I just do my program halfway. And no, that's when you get killed. That's when it goes crazy. Folks tend to ease up and let off the accelerator. Don't become complacent, and don't rest on your past successes. Now, these are some pitfalls that people make, but need to avoid. All right? And just to make a quick question, does anybody have any questions so far? I see Tracy, I think from San Diego is actually asking something. I'll give you that question in a minute, Tracy. And who's that? Barbara from Michigan? Or something. We'll get to those in a minute. But does anybody else have any questions about anything I've gone over thus far? Okay. Now, these are a lot of common pitfalls that I see people make, but they need to avoid. All right. And these aren't even about the 6 steps, but I'm going to go over them anyway. So, oftentimes, people know where they need to go. They know they need to tighten up their glutes. They know they need to get better shoulders. They know they need to burn off their love handle. They know they need to burn off their belly fat. They just don't know how to get there. Now, the problem starts when they think they know how to get there. When they think they know how to get there. And that was kind of the first part of the presentation, so I won't go back into that. But it's a big problem. And so what happens is they use poor training and diet and rely on steroids. And it's such a shame, and it breaks my heart when I see people that and I've dated girls like this, I've trained girls like this, I've known guys like this, where they truly don't believe how profoundly effective smart training and nutrition is. And because they don't believe this, they think anybody that makes really impressive progress is using steroids. They always think they're on steroids. And it's so pathetic. And it's so sad. They think any girl that's lean and fit and slightly muscular and ripped is on steroids. Well, some are, but the ones that are, they don't know how to train or diet correctly. Okay? And judges, I put judges in here. Judges are the worst example. Here's what judges are bad. Judges are so awful. For those of you, in fact, if anybody here's ever done like a big year fitness bikini physique bodybuilding show, you can just type in the chat column, and I won't even say your name if you don't want me to, but just say I have, or yes, and I'll get a good, okay, so-and-so, I see. All right, a couple people have so far. Anyone else, feel free to. I just want to get an idea here, because you'll know what I'm about to talk about. What happens is, after a show, who do the competitors go talk to? Well, it's the judge, right? And what does the judge say? Well, they say, well, the judge will, what do I need to do? And the judge will say, well, you need, rounder delts, you need to, tighten up your quads, bring out your hamstrings, more muscle maturity. And all that may be well and true, but the problem is when the judge starts telling the person how to get there. Oh, well, you need to just do walking lunges for an hour. I mean, I've heard literally ludicrous advice from judges. So imagine some poor girl with marginal genetics, is already overtrained, doesn't know how to eat, on a lousy program, asks some judge what to do, and he tells her to tighten her glutes up more to do an hour of walking lunges. I've heard you do sets of 100 on box squats. I've heard that. I've heard, sets of like 50 on everything. It's literally sickening. So my point is, the reason judges are so bad is that they might have a good eye for what physically needs to improve, sure, but they don't have a clue how to get there. Guys, judges are not nutrition experts, and judges are not training experts, and they think they are, and that's a big, huge problem in the industry. Now, I want you to hold your breath on the next photo. You're not going to believe the next photo you see here, but this is a great example of someone that did not have an adequate nutritional program or training protocol, so they had to resort to steroids. Okay, now I actually trained this girl, so I know these photos are absolutely authentic. In her first photo, her first two photos here, I actually trained her. This was back in '06, and we parted ways, and she did have really good genetics, okay, but we parted ways, and she no longer had my guidance. She no longer had an optimal, very high-performance training and nutritional program. She no longer had the right map or the right tools. So what she had to do is she went out and found some steroids. And you can see here, and it breaks your heart. It's just a shame. She had to rely on steroids. And the whole point, the moral of this, the reason I'm even showing this is that if you have, remember Laura's photos and JJ's photos, they were just as ripped as her. They didn't have her density, okay, because she already had, they don't have her amount of muscle, but she already had a lot of muscle from the get-go. And she was really young in these photos. She was like in her early 20s. But my point is that you can get just as lean and ripped as you need to be drug-free if you have the right program. Now, you may never want to get this lean. You may not even be a competitor. Some of you on the call might, and that's fine. The point I'm making is that don't ever take the bait that you have to take steroids to reach your best. Don't ever believe that, okay? Don't be like this person here who used steroids as a crutch because she lacked the adequate training and nutritional protocol. So we're moving on with that. Now, the 6 steps of success in action, and I mentioned JJ, who's got 3 kids. I think she's like 30 years old, housewife, mom. She's in the program now for 4 months, and she exercises less and eats more now, here in this photo, than she did when she first started. So, and she's not really flexing here, she's just relaxed, and she actually sent me new photos, I think Friday. Yeah, and you won't believe how ripped she is now. We put her on her victory phase, which is her contest prep program, a week from yesterday, which is about 8 days ago, Monday of last week rather, and she lost 3 pounds of fat in the first 6 days. And you know what? I'm going to post some of her photos in my next webinar or my next slideshow to update. You won't believe how ripped she is. So in this photo here, she's probably about 13% body fat. She'll probably be about 10% in the next 3 weeks, but we'll fill her out some more for the show. But the point I'm making is that, and she's not even flexing here, so it's not a very accurate photo to compare with the other one of the other person that was on steroids. But the point I'm making is that whether it be her or the woman Laura and the other slide, you can still get very, very lean on and get as lean and ripped as you need to be drug free. Even if you've had 3 kids, these are 2 women that have had 3 babies. You know, and Bonnie here, this is Bonnie. I think her name is Bonnie. Yeah, she did a great job last year. She lost a foot off her waist. Unbelievable. And she had the best, most profound quote of all. She said, "This is more than just changing the way you eat. It's changing the way you think." And that is so true. That really is. So I'm going to back up here, and I've got a photo of JJ. And which photo do y'all want me to leave up while I take questions? Y'all want this photo of the steroids, or y'all want who else do we have? I think Laura's photo's up here. Which photo do y'all want to see while I take questions? Well, we'll leave Laura's photo up. She did great. While I take questions here, you know what? I'll go back. I think you guys are probably going to want to see this one more of the steroid before and after. Here we go. All right, got a few questions here. I'll knock out a few of them. Let's see, who do we got here? We have Cynthia from Seattle. Hello, Cynthia. Welcome from Seattle. Now, Cynthia, let me ask you: would you like to come on the video chat? Not yet. Okay. Well, Cynthia's asking, how do I get rid of this stubborn fat around my love handles and really low abs? Because I have some loose skin from a pregnancy. And you know, I'm glad you mentioned that from being pregnant and having kids. You know, the 2 other ladies that I showed you on here, and I'm not comparing you guys, but I'm just saying, surprisingly, they didn't have much loose skin. And one of the reasons why they didn't is that if you gain, and I'm glad you brought this up, oftentimes everybody's going to gain weight during pregnancy, okay? There's no doubt about that. In fact, you obviously should. But there's a difference in gaining, 30 pounds and in gaining 85 pounds, okay? There's a difference, I'm not an OBGYN or doctor, so I'm not going to comment on how much you should gain, but what I will say is that if you eat healthy food, you can always keep it in check. If you're eating fast food and KFC and McDonald's and whatever else, and pizza, it's only going to spiral out of control. And when you gain too much weight during a pregnancy, there's a greater chance you're going to have more loose skin when you come back down to your original size. But to answer your question, as you burn fat, I lost 50 pounds when I played college ball, and I lost some of the elasticity in my skin. But you know what? As time passes, some of the elasticity will regain over time. And as you burn more fat and as you continue to build muscle, the elasticity will come back. I promise you it will, to some degree. But anyway, outside of that, as far as fat loss in your low abs and in your love handle region, I would suggest that, the first thing you got to do is it's like I talked about, the intangibles. You've absolutely got to take ownership that what you're doing now isn't working, okay? And then you got to find the right map. So, let's see here. We have Valerie from Pennsylvania. And Valerie is asking, I like to run 5 miles every time I run, which is 4 to 5 times a week. What should I eat on top of that? Well, first off, Valerie, you shouldn't be running that much. You're running way too much. You shouldn't be running that many times a week. And you shouldn't be running that far. And you know what? Well, let me ask you right now, and you can just type in your answer. Why do you think you need to run that much? Are you trying to burn fat? Yes. Okay, so Valerie said yes because she's trying to burn fat. Well, Valerie,